Welcome back in live to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Banging out some mock drafts. The bowl games are finally finishing up, and we are getting into our position rankings. We already started with offensive tackles, mainly touching on the Power 5 guys. Today, we're going to talk about the non-Power 5 guys, specifically the three best non-Power 5 tackle prospects that we've seen: Max Mitchell, Bernie Ryman, and Trevor Penning from University of Northern Iowa. My brother, he's grinded film on these guys. I don't know as much about them, but my brother's been grinding film on all three of them, and he's going to kind of just take us through what he sees out of them. Obviously, these three guys are going to need Senior Bowls to really explode their draft stock. But we're going to start with, what have you seen on film? Dill, I'm going to send it to you. Who's your first player you want to talk about?
So I think a guy who, honestly, I know he's getting attention, but probably should be getting possibly first round almost attention is Bernhard Ryman out of Central Michigan. So he's from Austria, so obviously somewhat new to football, naturally. But he's got essentially to me, he's got everything you look for in an elite top end tackle. And that's 6'7", 305, so good height. I think he can pack a lot more weight onto the frame and get more powerful. I don't think you saw him dominate the run game like he does the pass, but what obviously stands out is the potential because he has the ability to move at an extremely high level in my mind for a 6'7" player. And that's really hard to find. I think once you're getting over 6'5", I think a lot of guys lose fluidity in kind of when you watch them kick slide, it's like they're laboring back there. And if you're doing that, you're in trouble against guys like Von Miller or Khalil Mack, who can convert speed to power really well. So I know Bernhard Ryman, I mean, what I liked about him is he did get some good film against teams like Missouri and LSU. So you saw him perform very well against Power 5 talent. And I think to me, he's got the potential to be a very good starting left tackle in the NFL, just because he has the intent, the athleticism to do it. And what I think is really special is if you maybe pack 10, 15 pounds on his frame, which to me, it looks like you can. Very lean.
Yeah, 305, 6'7" is not that big of a frame.
Yeah, so you pack the weight on, you get more comfortable in the run game. And again, a guy who, even for a young player, less experience coming out of Austria, uses his hands well, doesn't let guys get into his chest. And yeah, I was just wildly impressed. And I think the biggest benefit for him over the other two, frankly, is getting really good playing time against good competition in those LSU and Missouri games, which I was very impressed with both of them.
So from what I know, I haven't gotten that much film on this kid, but I do know he was playing tight end 2 years ago. So it kind of like similar to like a Zion Nelson, where it's like these guys are good athletes, and then, okay, he's athletic and has a frame to play tackle. So he's been playing tackle for only 2 years, was playing tight end his freshman year at Central Michigan. And I know he's graded very high. I think he was the second highest graded PFF tackle, next to the guy we're going to be talking about next, Max Mitchell. But a guy from Austria, you would think kind of just still getting that technique down, still putting on weight to that frame, big time projection to be a very good tackle from what you're saying. If he's playing high level ball against high level guys right now, you got to be optimistic about his
development. I mean, what the impressive thing to me is there didn't seem to be an issue with in those games. He didn't look out of place, nor did that Central Michigan team. Frankly, I think they're very good this year. But
Lou Nichols was a beast.
Yeah, I think you need to see that out of guys, because getting into other guys like Trevor Penning, who played almost no games besides against Iowa State, it is nice to see him kind of play at a high level in those games against fellow NFL talent.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's what you look for with all your prospects, is how are they performing against other guys who are NFL level players. Kind of like a guy like Nick Pierre from Ohio State, kind of didn't really show his best games were against lower level talent, and then when he played teams with good defensive linemen, such as in Michigan, such as a Penn State, he really struggled. So getting that good film on from NFL talent is a huge deal, and it's good to hear that Bernie Ryman's doing just that. Let's move on to their next prospect, and that's Max Mitchell from Louisiana Lafayette. Another guy, he graded 2. He's the second best tackle in his from PFF grades. I know a little bit about him. I got a little bit of film on him. I know he's got a smaller frame, correct? I think it's
So he's about 6'6", 300 pounds right now is kind of what I'm seeing.
So another guy who could potentially fill out his frame a little bit.
Yeah, and a very lean, looks very lean on tape. A guy I think has potential. Again, I very impressed with his game. Very good athlete. And in a little different than Ryman, I think he is a little bit more of a physical player. Was more of a road grader in the run game, although he did show he's not like he has a problem pass protecting. He's certainly athletic enough to do it. And another guy I think coming out of the lower levels of college football, maybe who probably will be shooting up the draft boards, and if he can put a good senior day together too, or another guy.
Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
That's what a lot of these Quinn Miners from Wisconsin Whitewater playing low level. It's D3. I don't mean to say low level, but not seeing NFL talent every week. It's important for those guys to show up and play really good against some of the best prospects, and that's what Quinn Miners did. And he's working out with the Denver Broncos, playing some good ball there, but showed during the Senior Bowl that he can do that. So it's huge.
Yeah, because you can see the traits out of these guys. You can see athleticism, and for whatever reason they were maybe missed out of high school, whether they late bloomers, Bernard Ryman, a foreign player. So there's guys coming out of these ranks and who develop into really talented players. And I think these two to me are 2 Power 5 guys who I think can be really good. Max Mitchell, I wonder if he'll be more of a right tackle, just because he is, to me, he looked a little more proficient in the run game, a little more comfortable there, while still being able to hold up in pass pro. I certainly wouldn't see him kicking in the guard just because of his a smaller, leaner frame. And you wouldn't want to waste an athlete like that inside. I think there's a lot of guys who are more built to play the guard position than Max Mitchell. So I see both of them as tackles. To me, I think Bernard Ryman, much higher ceiling, just an incredibly fluid athlete. That's like light feet, doesn't get caught leaning, can react back to counter moves. And speaking of counter moves, getting into our last guy on this list of tackles is Trevor Penning. As you kind of know, he's coming, he seems to be the one getting the most attention. I think people do get infatuated with these
monsters.
But non-power, like FCS level. I don't know if they're FCS or if they're right.
UNI's FCS, yep.
But I think people do get infatuated with them just because I think in some part it's like tickles some egos, like, ooh, this guy, no one knows about him, but like me kind of thing, even though we all know about him. So I think you're hearing a lot of Trevor Penning. To me, he's not in the league of these other two athletically yet. I saw it when he pass pros, he has a lot of trouble mirroring. I think in particular, he loses guys on their second rush. And
how did he look against Iowa State? Do you mind if I asked?
Yeah, to get to it, that's my primary issue.
Yeah, there's some.
I believe he had a penalty. Definitely wasn't dominating the run game, which is disappointing at that size.
Yeah, 6'7", 40.
What he's going to need to probably be at the beginning of his career is a road grader.
Yeah.
Because again, I don't think you see he's not got the fluidity and the technique that the top end guys have. And again, I just think the issue is he leans on guys a lot. My biggest issue is he had a lot of trouble. Like, I don't think he's too slow. He could get out to guys on the edge, but he couldn't react to their next move, if that makes sense. Yeah. So he wasn't getting beat clean by people, but it does seem like he's going to have a lot of trouble changing direction in reacting to like a good hard like inside comeback. Like when you're rushing up the field, coming back inside, I do see that type of thing being a problem with him,
And
and just that change of direction.
He might struggle, and maybe a similar reason like Zion Nelson might be struggling is he put on a lot of weight fast. I was listening to an interview with him, and he came in, didn't get any offers. He's an Iowa kid, didn't get any offers from University of Iowa, didn't even get a letter from them. So he mentioned he made sure to note that, but came in under 300 and put a lot of weight on fast. And so it's sometimes hard to get used to carrying that extra 50 pounds of weight from an athletic standpoint. Spencer Brown, his running mate last year, also kind of a similar prospect from UNI, mountain of a man, has been playing pretty well for the Bills.
Good ball for the Bills,
yeah,
for sure.
I wonder if Trevor Penning is maybe a similar comp. They both have similar measurables. Spencer Brown's more of a mauler than Trevor Penning is worth noting. You see Bernie Ryman, you see Max Mitchell. They both graded 1-2 in tackles. They were the best tackles in the country, obviously playing lower levels, so you kind of expect a very high PFF grade from them. Not to stress PFF that much, but it's a good way of kind of getting a feel of how they're playing. Trevor Penning was 36 tackle. So that's interesting to note that he wasn't grading out as an elite tackle, playing against the lowest level out of these three guys. I mean, Bernie Ryman playing in the MAC, like you'll see some good players, and he obviously played Missouri and LSU, some SEC teams. Max Mitchell plays at Louisiana Lafayette. You're seeing App State, Coastal. Like you're just seeing some good ball players. Trevor Penning, a little less so, and didn't grade as high. So that's an interesting thing to note. Is this the rankings you would put Bernie, Max, Trevor Penning, 1, 2, 3 out of those three group of guys?
Yeah, and I'd have to I'm sure I haven't gotten every non-Power 5 tackle. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys would stumble across a few who are better than Penning. And again, I really don't see what people see. I think yes, he has the size.
People see the size. That's what they see when you
walk
up to guys.
Athleticism too,
yeah,
but I think the directional athleticism is weak. I think he got in a lot of situations where you're just kind of like grabbing guys, almost like how if you've ever seen like Brian Brazee play high school football from Clemson, like some of his, like how he's like, okay, he can way physically overpower these guys. But I do see if he gets in a situation where guys aren't that physically overmatched, I don't see like that type of athleticism in his game. So, but I also think he needs a lot of work in the technique, and I think anybody who drafts Trevor Penning knows that they're getting into that, not a finished product. So I think there is potential. Like, yes, he is a fairly good athlete for, being a real giant, even more so than these other two. So I just think you're getting much more of a project. I think Bernhard Ryman in particular could be very ready in probably a year or two. Just seeing the fluidity that he has and uses his length really well. Doesn't let guys get into his body and drive and push him around as a smaller guy is probably important that he can do it. And I think that's what I saw out of him. And
that's a good breakdown of these three. We're going to leave these guys here right now as we kind of fill out this positional ranks. I think we probably have to wait to see what they kind of do in their Senior Bowls, Combine Pro Days to really stack these guys. Sounds like Bernie Ryman might be kind of probably outside this top three, kind of with Kenyon Green we have listed twice. Also, Jamari Salyer, we might need to talk about moving to tackle because he was fucking good against Michigan. Or at least move him up over Zion Johnson. But yeah, that's a good start. It's good to get eyeballs. There's always diamonds in the rough in the non-Power 5 teams, and we see plenty of guys come out of non-Power 5 schools and be very, very good in the NFL. Very easy for scouts to miss that at the Power 5 schools. So that's a great start to kind of filling out our tackle rankings. Later this week, we're going to be getting into our wide receiver ranks, which is can't wait for that episode. I have a lot of thoughts on a very loaded group of guys, and I think it'll be changing a lot as we go. Obviously, Drake London pending a injury, some really talented dudes. So later this week, we'll be getting back into the wide receiver rankings, just starting to fill that out, tight ends, and then we'll get into quarterbacks, which is a little bit of a crapshoot this year. But that's a great start for filling out this tackle spot. Dale, appreciate your insight on these guys. I haven't quite gotten to them yet. And we'll be back. Everybody, appreciate you guys with the support. It's been freaking phenomenal as of late. We love doing this, and we will talk to you guys later this week. Talk to y'all later. Peace.